when you play for these bigger clubs like Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, Beşiktaş, they have fan bases that are past just women's basketball, right? Like if you're a fan of Gala, you're a fan of Gala football, you're a fan of Gala volleyball, basketball. And these people, like, it's in their blood. I don't know if you know who Tamika Catchings is. She was a really, really, really good player. And there was a loose ball. Catch just like sprints and snatches it away, and I think she ends up scoring.
Yeah.
And then one of the vets looks at me like, why didn't you dive on the ball? Why didn't you get it? And in my head, I'm like, man, I thought I was fast, but she's really fast. You know? As much as you want to provide for your family or for yourself, you can't do that if you're sick. You know, being an athlete, you have more of an understanding of your own personal health, but understanding global health, a lot of it is just access. Like people, the ability to eat well is dependent on you having clean water, or it's dependent on you being able to afford to go to grocery stores because you know you live in a neighborhood where it's possible. Like all of comparison is the thief of joy, but if I look at some guys and how much they make, I'm like, I don't know, is he really working that much harder than me that he associate femininity with like not being super emboldened and outspoken, right? And so if that's your definition of femininity, sports are contradictory to that. Yes, you have to work hard, but you need some luck, you need some talent, you need a little bit of natural ability to help you. But you can't have one without the other.
The WNBA doesn't pay as much as clubs in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, depending... For a lot of people, for most people, most like good players,
yeah,
that have like a consistent role on their W team, they can make way more overseas. So like, I don't know anyone that's asked to be paid the same as NBA players because it's just not realistic. The biggest difference in general is just like investment.
Are there times when you've seen like comments about you online and then you're like, that could be true?
I'm trying to think. Like if I play bad that day, it's like okay, I played bad that day. Like cool, but what did you do with yourself today? A lot of people inherently think that they're better than you at sports just because you're a woman, even if they haven't played the sport. Yeah. So I think the type of vitriol we get online is also there's also misogyny attached to it. Basketball is good when you win. It's risky when you don't trust yourself. Bad things can happen if you don't trust your abilities. It's unacceptable when you don't respect the game. And by that I mean when you don't respect your opponents, when you don't respect your coaches, when you don't respect your teammates.
Hi everyone. Welcome to this episode of ARandomChidi Meets, where I get to ask professionals questions and we get to learn something new from them every episode. On today's episode, we have Elizabeth Williams. She's a WNBA star who also plays for Galatasaray and a global health graduate.
Yes.
Who is making waves on and off the court. So Elizabeth, nice to have you.
Nice. Yeah.
So is there something else about you that you'd like to tell us?
Yeah. I guess I could say a little bit about my basketball journey. I started when I was 9, and it just so happened that I picked up a basketball and I loved it. And fast forward many years of hard work, I ended up playing my college basketball career at Duke University, graduated in 2015, and then started in the WNBA in 2015. I started playing professionally in 2015. I started playing both in the WNBA and overseas, and that's kind of been my career over the last 11 years.
Okay. I know something interesting I read about you was that you grew up from a family of medical professionals. So I know being a Nigerian, you're a Nigerian American.
Yeah.
I mean, wanting to be a basketball player, right? When you come from a family of medical professionals. Like,
the plan was really to go to med school when I graduated. But the way that my college career was going, I had an opportunity to play professionally. And so I kind of pushed that back and said, when I'm done playing, that I can always go back to school. I can, for example, get the master's online, stuff like that. So that's essentially kind of been my mindset, because when it comes to sports, you only have a certain amount of time that you can play. It's not like other professions where you can start at any age. your body is your money.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you're young, that's when you can make your money, and so that's kind of the mentality I've taken.
So was it like a deal you had with your parents?
I've always told them that I would go back to school, and I mean it's still something that I want to do. I mean, I don't know if it'll look exactly how they might have thought it would look, but in some capacity, helping others is what I want to do.
So I guess now, like, the fact that you've been quite successful with basketball, like to a large extent,
yeah.
I think your parents are like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like it worked out, you know, it's kind of a bonus, yeah.
Okay, so like going into the, WNBA, right? What was it like the first time that you were drafted to play the WNBA?
Draft night is like, it's one of those nights that you really don't forget. Like, I mean, my whole family was there. I'm really thankful. Even seeing the old clips of how young my brother was, and seeing my sister there, my parents, and they're just so proud. Like, honestly, when you look around the whole room, you see family members that are really proud because they are the ones that see the work that goes in. And so it's really cool that for any type of draft night, because the people that support you, they get to celebrate it with you. And so that's ultimately the feeling, like just gratitude and thankfulness and excitement for the next chapter.
So, like, would you say what was going through your head? Like, what exactly was going through your head the moment? Like, because you were in the first round.
Yeah, I was the first round pick.
And I think the NBA being the first round pick means you're really good.
Yeah, I had a really good college career.
Okay.
So, also the thing is with the drafts, you really don't know where you're going because sometimes on draft night, teams can make trades. So, GMs can call each other and say, if they see that maybe a team drafted a post player and they want a post player, they're like, okay, actually, we're going to trade our 10th pick for this pick. So anything can happen on that night. So even if your agent says, you might end up on this team, there's a chance that you really won't end up on that team. So a lot of what was going through my mind was nervousness. I was a little nervous. Didn't know where I was going to go. But yeah, I was also really excited. So that was pretty much what was going on in my head.
Okay. Because I also read like some articles about you that you were quite really good when you're in university. That you're one of like the top players in university.
Yeah. I mean, I just tried to work as hard as possible, and challenge myself. I think any athlete in general. Sorry. Oh, it died. I think any athlete in general is just really competitive. And obviously you're competing against other people, but you're also competing against yourself. How good can I be? And that was my mindset coming out of high school, wanting to be a top recruit out of college, wanting to be a top draft pick. So that's kind of the mentality that I kept moving forward.
Okay, so you moved in from being like a top dog in university, and then you moved into the WNBA. So at what moment when you got into the WNBA that you were like, okay, this is
real.
This is real.
Yeah, welcome to the league.
Did you ever have that moment?
I did have a welcome to the league moment. It's not really like other people's, I think, because I remember it was a home game and we were playing the Indiana Fever. And I don't know if you know who Tamika Catchings is. She was a really, really, really good player. Olympian, champion in Olympics, WNBA, like really just an elite player. And we're playing at home, we were playing the Fever, and there was a loose ball, and I just thought like, oh, I'll get this, like I'm quick enough. And I kind of like run towards the ball, and Catch just like sprints and snatches it away, and I think she ends up scoring. Yeah. And then one of the vets looks at me like, why didn't you dive on the ball? Why didn't you get it? And in my head, I'm like, man, I thought I was fast, but she's really fast, and Catch, like, she was strong, fast, like one of the best defenders in the league. So that was definitely a moment where I was like, oh, this is an elite level of athleticism and skill that we really haven't seen before.
So did you feel like, how do you feel? Like, do you feel like embarrassed? Did you feel like...
No, I wasn't embarrassed. I was just taken aback, honestly. I knew who she was. I knew how good she was. But I think I don't even think I underestimated her, but I think I overestimated myself in the situation.
Okay.
So it was like that, yeah.
when you're playing elite sports, right? There's always going to be this form of confidence. You should,
Yeah, of
like,
course.
to be confident in yourself, right?
Yeah, and I think I have a healthy amount of confidence that just comes. But I also think in your rookie year, you kind of struggle with confidence too, because it's kind of like you were saying, you come from being the top dog and now you're not, you know, you're the baby. You're playing against veterans, you're playing against champions at every level, you know, multi-time Olympians. And so it's a balance of having like a healthy amount of confidence and like, oh, wait a minute, you know, I'm still learning and figuring stuff out.
Yeah, because I was going to ask that, like, where do you draw the line between being confident and being like arrogant at the same time?
Yeah. That's the magical line in sports for a lot of people. But I know confidence is, I always say confidence is a killer, like in both a good and bad way. So if you lack confidence, like it can really kill you and kill your momentum and how you envision things. But when you have a high level of confidence, like you can feel like you can kill anybody. And a lot of confidence comes from the work that you put in. I feel the most confident when I feel prepared,
Okay.
when I feel like I've put in work, I feel like I've done all that I can. And then that confidence is, you know, it eventually comes from preparation and turns into what you see in the games. And I think a lot of athletes feel that way.
No, because personally, I have no problem with if people say it's arrogant or confidence. I mean, even athletes talks highly of themselves, and they prove it on the court. I have no problem with that.
yeah, for sure. But I mean, there's also the balance, because if you don't put the work in and you're still confident, to me that's arrogance. Because if you didn't prepare and you're like, oh, I'm still the best, you're not actually the best. Like that's just arrogance.
But what if they prove it? Like, I'm going to give an example. Like, you know, everyone knows Ronaldo. Like, he's the type of guy that would talk. He talks a lot about himself. He knows what he does, and people always see him as arrogant. But the thing is, he ends up on the field of play and he does it. So. Yeah,
because I don't think anyone could question the amount of work that Ronaldo has put into his craft. So to me, that's not arrogance. I think arrogance is speaking like that and saying those things, but not putting the work in beforehand. Like you're just thinking you're better without doing anything. That to me is arrogance versus confidence.
Are there times where maybe you played badly or something, and you know, in this age of social media where people cannot wait to get online to just trash you? Do you ever like read comments about yourself?
I've read comments about myself. Sometimes you can't help it because like you can see it in your feed. Like if you get tagged or something, like it just, any type of notification, you can see it.
Wait, people make bad comments and tag you?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh my god.
That's all the time. That's not
what?
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy.
Oh yeah. I personally think it's worse with women's sports, because I think a lot of people inherently think that they're better than you at sports just because you're a woman, even if they haven't played the sport.
Yeah.
So I think the type of vitriol we get online is also, there's also misogyny attached to it.
Okay.
Whereas like I think a lot of times with men's players, like they'll say like, oh, you suck, you're trash, but it's not because deep down they think that they can beat them. They just think that they're bad. You know, I think the difference is people just think you're bad and they think that they can beat you, you know, and that's different to me. But I see the comments mostly now. I'm able to filter stuff out, like my settings. It's a lot harder. If you really want to be mean, you have to follow me, and then you have to like tag me, and you have to kind of go through steps before you can be mean. So at that point, it's like, I think you also like I think on some platforms, like I know on Instagram, you can disable tags. Yeah, you can
Twitter,
disable. If you really want to troll, like you can do it, but you're just gonna have to follow me first. Like that's good for me, you know. So I'm kind of at that point, because I think ultimately it's a lot. Like when you see a lot of negativity, like I've been in Euro League finals that I've lost and had a lot of bad comments about that, and it's hard to see. So you learn over time how to separate it, and ultimately you know the type of player and person that you are and what you put in. And sports can be unfair in a lot of ways. Like I think the Olympics are always a good example, right? You see people that are favored to win and then they don't. It's like it's not your day, you know. So that. It is what it is.
Speaking about that, the Olympics, you know, the Winter Olympics going on now. I don't know what country that's going on.
In Milan, in Italy.
In Italy, yeah.
Yeah.
There was an athlete, I think she's from China. So she lost a competition, but she was favorite. So a journalist was asking her a question.
Oh yeah, I saw this.
It was like, and the question was, would you see it as 5 golds? I mean, golds lost or silver gained?
Yeah, ultimately she said, like, you know,
I always win.
I'm the most winning, the winningest skier, female skier in history. Yeah. So to me, it's not a loss. And I think she also she was speaking from a place of confidence of, you know, putting in the work and doing her best. And her best ended up being a silver, which is life-changing for most people. True. You know, and for the journalists, I think a lot of times in sports, like, not so much in Olympic sports, but in other sports, like, they just see not being first as being a loser. In reality, she's not a loser by any means. Like, she's the second best person in the world in this sport in that moment, and she's won golds before. So that was it. Yeah, it was cool.
Are there times when you've seen like comments about you online, and then you're like, that could be true?
I'm trying to think. Like, if I play bad that day, it's like, okay, I played bad that day. Like, cool, but what did you do with yourself today? You can come at me all you want. I'm still cashing my check. Like, I'm still living a great life. I'm a happy person. I'm not worried about other people online. So that's how I see it.
Okay, so speaking about like bad comments online, I know you play with Chicago Sky in the WNBA, and then you play with Galatasaray in the Euro League. So like, how would you compare the fans in terms of like when you say maybe comments online or how they relate to you? How would you compare it?
It's different. It's different. In Europe, specifically in Turkey, when you play for these bigger clubs like Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, Beşiktaş, they have fan bases that are past just women's basketball, right? Like, if you're a fan of Gala, you're a fan of Gala football, you're a fan of Gala volleyball, basketball, and these people, like, it's in their blood, you know? It's like my great-great-grandpa was a Fener fan or a Gala fan, you know? Like, the club culture is different. Yeah, like, women's sports in the U.S., it's a bit newer having these professional teams that are unique to a city, like having WNBA has only been in existence for 30 years. So you don't really have someone who can say like, oh, my grandma was a Chicago fan. Like, they're newer and newer fans. And so there's like a deep-rooted culture here overseas, and it can feel almost like harsher. But at the same time, I think a lot of haters on the U.S. side are like, that comes out of misogyny and like how they view women's sports. Whereas here, the people are just like, I'm a Fener fan, so I can't stand you that you play for Gala, you know? Like,
I get it.
It's more like this.
So there's no really much gender in play when it comes to
I think it's less about
leagues.
I think it's less about the gender and more about the club and that culture. Whereas in the U.S., I think some of the WNBA hate comes from like people that they're not fans of women's sports, you know.
So it's like the atmosphere is more warmer towards the athletes.
I mean, I don't necessarily want to say that because it's like the lows are lower, I think, and the highs may be higher. Whereas I think you might get more like personal attacks coming from like a W hater, and you might get more like, I'm so proud of how you represent women and women's sports from also the WNBA side, you know? So it's just like a little bit different.
Have you had any incidents before in this played in Europe? Any incident with the fans? Any incident with
like?
Because I live in Turkey, so I know how those fans are so passionate about sports here. So I do understand what you're coming from. I know that they can be really aggressive when it comes to sports. So have you had any incidents living in this place?
I mean, not like somebody personally coming up to me, but online. I mean, I've had people say crazy stuff. Like when I played for Fener and we lost, Yeah, people said some crazy stuff. but it's like I said, at the end of the day, like I mean, I also have expectations for myself, and I feel bad if I lost the game. So you saying that doesn't make me feel any worse than I might have already felt. Like
Okay.
that's just you saying what you wanted to say, but it doesn't really impact how I was already feeling.
Because you already hold yourself to a high standard, so you understand
so
what to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, basketball is about passion, but we also know it's about like money making too. This clubs want to make money.
Yeah.
So at what point, like, did you realize that, you know what, it's not just about my passion, there's a business part of this as well that I need to be aware of?
It's probably when I got my first check and I looked at how much went to taxes. Like, that's when I was like, oh yeah, this is a job. Like, this is work.
In the WNBA or what?
In the WNBA,
okay.
yeah. Because you can see when you get a pay stub, like this much is going to Social Security, this much is federal tax, this is state tax, this is insurance. Like, you can see it on the pay stub. So that's honestly when you realize, oh, okay, like I'm not just getting paid just to dribble the ball around. Like, there's somebody cashing the check. Yeah.
So I'm guessing your first ever like deal, I'm guessing you were just so overwhelmed. You didn't think so much about the contracts, the pay, the compensation. You didn't think a lot about that.
Yeah, and the W, not really. I was just happy to be on the team. And then my first overseas contract, ironically, was in Turkey. It was for a team called Istanbul University. And that I actually got paid in cash my first year. And that was different. Yeah, I got paid in cash. And I was like, oh, okay, so overseas is just different. Like, we don't have a pay stub of every little dollar going somewhere. This is just our GM saying, here's your cash. Yeah, that was different. And not typical. I mean, maybe at the time, because this was 11 years ago, you know, I don't know where the money came from. I just knew it came from the club, and it was legit because it was from whatever my contract said. So, like, that's just how it was in the beginning.
So now going a bit into the money part of it, right? So has compensation, like how much you get, influenced like your decision making in terms of contracts, in terms of playing overseas? Has it
Yeah,
influenced
100%. I mean, a majority of players up until the last 2 years would play both in the W and overseas because our compensation was significantly higher. COVID changed that quite a bit because a lot of economies globally, as everybody knows, were really impacted by COVID. And then the war in Russia also impacted the market because Russian teams couldn't compete in Euro League anymore, and that was a big market for women's basketball. So that shifted the dynamic a little bit, but I mean, as you can see, I'm still overseas now, and a big reason for that is the amount of compensation I get for being here.
So that basically, which is kind of like a bit surprising to me, is that the WNBA doesn't pay as much as clubs in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, depending, for a lot of people, for most people, most like good players, that have like a consistent role on their W team, they can make way more overseas.
So like we're talking here about base salary, not even
base salary. Not talking about bonuses or anything.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, just even the base salary. But the bonuses too are way higher here also.
Okay. The pay gap in the WNBA compared to the NBA, which is like astronomically different.
Yeah.
So what would you say is like the cause for it? Because I know I've read people who say it's gender, it's because of sponsorships, no brands are not getting behind the team, and all of this, no reasons. But to you, what do you think is the real reason?
There's a lot of reasons.
For the pay gap.
There's a lot of reasons. I mean, one, I think there's just a misconception that we're asking to be paid the same as NBA players. Like, I don't know anyone that's asked to be paid the same as NBA players because it's just not realistic. I think the biggest difference in general is just like investment. So there's always been consistent investment in the NBA, in that league, in growing that league, and even in the early years when they weren't making money, people were still investing in them. Whereas with women's sports, it's almost like pulling teeth to get people to invest. And then if you want good players to come and stay, and you invest and you build facilities and you support players, then you're going to get the best players and the best product. But I think I think for whatever reason, people just have been afraid to invest in women's sports. And then now we're seeing like, oh, there's the viewership numbers are so high. Like people are seeing how good these players are. And now all of a sudden, you know, there's more corporate interest, there's more sponsorship dollars, and it's starting to reflect on the interest that people have, even though there was a lack of investment before. So that's a big issue. There's always the issue of misogyny and just thinking that women they don't deserve more. Again, not the same, just more. Like we're not sitting here asking for $100 million, just more. And then just the culture around sport. It's kind of what I was talking about before. There's a club culture, so it doesn't matter if you play for Gala football or Gala basketball or Gala volleyball. You represent Gala, so we want to see Gala do well.
Okay,
so they're going to invest in that. Whereas in the U.S., you see with a lot of women's sports, if you don't have like this attachment to a team or to a city, people are just they don't feel as locked in, as connected to the stories of players. So it starts with getting the stories out there. I think only 1% of media coverage of sports on a sports channel is for women.
Oh wow, 1%.
Yeah,
it's
definitely less than 10%. Maybe it's like either way, less than 10%.
Less than 10%. Okay.
And so if people don't see it, then of course they're not going to be like, oh, I want to support this team, you know? And so like all of these things are different factors that impact why there are just overall less dollars for the women.
So if you were to like make a change, a structural change, right, to close that gap like significantly, right, is that something you think that should be done?
I mean, I'm just doing what I can within the systems that are in place, because I'm part of the executive committee for our union, like our players union, and you know
That's the WNBA Players Union.
Yes, okay. Yes. So we're the ones that negotiate with the league in terms of first and foremost salary, but also the player experience. You know, practice facilities, hotels, travel, off court. Marketing opportunities, revenue share, like all of that is negotiated between the league and the players. That's why I'm very thankful and pro-union because we have something like protecting us. And so when the league isn't doing like their job or isn't following that side of it, we're like legally protected. And so my role, I guess, in fixing some of these issues that we're talking about is just advocating for player needs and making sure, based on the money that we're now seeing the league bringing in, whether it's from the new TV deals, whether it's from expansion and new teams coming in, like all of these dollars, like some of that should be going back to the players. So at least with the systems that are in place, like that's a goal of mine, is just making sure that we're getting what we need.
Okay. There's something I'm thinking maybe could work as well. I don't know. So, like for example, teams in the WNBA don't have the same names as the men's team.
Yeah.
Because what I've learned from football, right? So there's Arsenal Football Club and there's Arsenal Women Football Club.
Yeah.
There's Barcelona Men, there's Barcelona Women. The team is tied to the organization,
the organization,
in general. Usually, what happens is that when the finances that go to the club, it now trickles down to women team and support. So I'm thinking, would that be a way of looking at it, of doing that? If like let's say the Lakers has
the Sparks.
The Sparks, yeah. So is it how it works? Like the money flows down, or is it?
No, it's actually a mix. So there are some W teams that have NBA affiliates. Phoenix has the same ownership. Brooklyn, New York Liberty and Brooklyn Nets. Minnesota, the Timberwolves, the Lynx. I'm probably forgetting one. Indiana, the Pacers and the Fever. But all the other teams are independently owned. So they might have an NBA team in that city, but it's different ownership, completely different ownership. Like different ownership group, like don't even communicate, don't share anything. And so it kind of puts those teams with the NBA affiliates at an advantage because, for example, they could share facilities. They're not paying for their own thing. Whereas independently owned teams, you know, it's just one owner or one ownership group that's saying, okay, well, this is our stuff, like Las Vegas, like this is our practice facility, this is our, it has nothing to do with men, it has nothing to do, you know. So it already differs in that way, that some teams have independent ownership. So it'd be difficult to say like, oh, we represent the Los Angeles Sports Club. Like it would just be hard to do, just because, and there's some cities that don't have both teams anyway. So it's, I understand where you're coming from, of like, but there are already some teams that are affiliated and are together, but a lot of teams that aren't.
It's not working that way. It's still not helping with the gap.
It does kind of help because they have more resources than other teams. But it's still, in the grand scheme of the league, it's, everyone's still different and independent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you see that gap closing anytime soon?
Yeah, I mean, we're in CBA negotiations right now, and the gap will definitely be closing. It's not going to be close. This isn't anything like tennis where it's like equal pay. Like you win Wimbledon, you get the same amount as who won? Alcaraz won. Alcaraz got the same amount as this Kazakhstani person. You know, like it's the same. We're not gonna. It's not that type of sport, you know. But we can close the gap where you can see where the money is coming in, and you can see, okay, if they got a, you know, $10 billion from TV and 50% of the revenue goes back to the players, okay, then we can spread it that way. So
okay, a bit away from basketball a bit, but still where you are, because I know you also a global health graduate. So what motivated you? I'm guessing your parents pushed you.
Actually, that was actually me, because I did it while I was overseas. I wanted to still keep, like, I graduated with a psych degree and I was pre-med in undergrad. Okay. And so I still wanted to keep some of this health stuff that I had, like, fresh in my mind.
Yeah.
And being overseas, you kind of have a lot of time. Like, once you're done with practice or done with games, you're kind of free. Like, you're on a lot of planes, a lot of buses and trains, so that's a good time to read and study and do whatever. And so through the league and the union, if you want to further your education, they'll pay for it. Like, they reimburse you. And so it's like, oh, it's a good opportunity to do something global health and see how the things that I've studied in the past are relevant as someone who's now traveled the world, and just comparing how different health systems work. So it was more of like a passion project.
So it's like personal passion, not like your parents were like, hey.
Yeah, they didn't. I mean, they didn't even know that I was gonna do it. Okay. And then I told them, like, oh, you know, I started this program, this fully online master's program. They're like, oh, that's cool.
All right. Yeah. So, how has being in the health space, right? How has that influenced the way you see yourself as an athlete?
I think, especially when it comes to global health, I was thinking of it from more of like an advocacy standpoint. And there's just people that don't have the same, I don't know, resources and the access to things that everybody else has. Being an athlete, you have more of an understanding of your own personal health and wellness and eating well and doing those things. But understanding global health, a lot of it is just access. Like, the ability to eat well is dependent on you having clean water, or it's dependent on you being able to afford to go to grocery stores because, you know, you live in a neighborhood where it's possible. Like, all of these things impact overall health. So I think just coming from a position where my body and my health is part of my job, I just wanted to view health in a different way.
Yeah. So I think there's something I read about you said as well. You said education, it's more important than the health services itself.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be an understanding of what you're doing and how that can impact you. And as much as you want to provide for your family or for yourself, you can't do that if you're sick. You know, you can't make money if you're not able to take care of yourself and walk around.
At some point, you also focused on mental health. Yeah, and
it's similar in that sense, right? Like, if I don't feel the drive to wake up in the morning because mentally I'm not in a good place, then I'm not going to be able to provide or you know, live a good life. And I think for athletes, their mental health is a big part of what they do. We're talking about stuff that we see online, making sure that stuff doesn't affect you. Confidence, that comes from not being overly anxious whenever you step on the floor.
Yeah.
So all of those things are part of your mental health too.
So do you think like teams or clubs do enough to help athletes with their mental health? Do you think that?
I think it's a work in progress. I think there's more of an understanding of the impact of mental health. There are more conversations around it that weren't there before. It's gotten better for sure.
Because I'm just giving an example. So in football, there was this guy that was from Newcastle, Tonali. He was banned from football for a couple of months because he had a gambling problem, right? And there was a conversation around that, saying, okay, he's Tonali, he's playing for a top club, so you can ban him for 10 months. He doesn't get salary, he has money. But what about those ones in the lower leagues that don't have that money? Banning them for 10 months is basically like taking their career away, taking everything away from them. So, and the conversation also was that most times gambling, it's a mental thing. It's a mental health sort of thing. So are there better ways in which maybe teams or governing bodies could deal with such situations?
I mean, I think gambling could be its own whole podcast because the way that sports betting is embedded in these clubs and these governing bodies is kind of problematic. Like if this is a NBA game sponsored by DraftKings, like we don't see a problem there. Like we don't think that players are gonna realize, maybe I can bet on myself. Like we didn't. So gambling is like that's a whole different that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I mean, I do think that in general there can be more provided for players in understanding, like separating, like this is actually a mental problem and you taking these risks is not normal.
What's one myth, right, about women's basketball that you would love to delete from the internet forever? And why?
I saw this question. I think I've touched on it, and it's that we want to get paid the same as the guys. I think we just want it to be fair and appropriate. That's probably one of the biggest ones. I'll stick with that.
Just stick with that. Yeah. So I know you've lived in Russia, right? You played in Russia?
I played in Russia.
And you said it was one of the big markets for women's basketball.
Yeah.
Like, would you say it's the biggest in Europe? Or
I mean, now obviously, like I said, between COVID and the war, it's not available for players really. It's because they're not playing in Euro League. There are still players that are there actually. I just not ones that I personally know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you lived in Russia, you lived in China, you lived in Turkey now, and you lived in the UK at one point.
I mean, when I was a kid.
You were a kid, and you live in the US.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which of these countries would you say your heart is more drawn towards?
I mean, I grew up in the US.
Okay.
So I would say America, but I have like a special place in my heart for all of these places, mostly because of all the people that I've met.
Okay.
You know? I've met good people in every one of those places. And I think when you travel this much, you realize that human beings are more alike than they are different. And sports bring so many people from so many places together. And there's a lot of beauty in that. So, yeah. But at the end of the day, yeah, America. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
With the way it is right now, I don't know. I might end up here for longer, but
I mean, you could stay in Turkey. You get a lot of nice kebabs.
Yeah, exactly. I like the food.
That's true. Like, talking about Turkey, though, what's the best thing you love about Turkey?
I mean, I really do like the food here, the culture. That's the energy. It's
the energy.
There's a lot of energy here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, you're gonna find some energy here.
Okay, so You've been in the health sector, global health sector. You're also in the NBA, WNBA, sports athlete. So, what legacy would you love to like leave behind? What like when someone think of Elizabeth Williams, they'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, this is one thing.
First and foremost, from a basketball standpoint, being a really good teammate. I think that is a big part of your legacy in sports, and people always remember how you make them feel. So I hope players that play with me felt emboldened and confident in who they were on and off the floor. Yeah, I mean that's honestly a huge one. And just a competitor. Like at the end of the day, like I want to compete and win and do what I can for our team to be successful. And then off the court, I've touched on it too, just being an advocate for women's sports. And hopefully young girls, they will always have a league that they can come to professionally and make a lot of money and support their family, whatever that looks like. I think there's a lot of value in that too. So this, yeah.
You said something that make a lot of money because it's important. Because
It is.
passion without the money to back up,
It's just a dream.
It's just
Like I can close my eyes and do whatever I want in my head. Yeah.
So, like, what advice would you give to those young ones who want to play basketball? Because I was at one of the games where it was Fenerbahce against Galatasaray, a derby game.
Yeah.
And I know like they called out the kids from the under 13, under 12 of Fenerbahce. They had won something as well. And
Okay,
I looked at them. I was like, wow, interesting. At the age of under 13, under
Yeah.
14, they were already doing stuff. So
I mean, kids start playing when they're like 5. You know,
wow.
kids start playing sports when they're young. So
like,
yeah.
what advice would you give to those young girls who are looking to like build a career in elite basketball?
I mean, just to stick with it. Like, have an attitude that even when you have a bad day, the next day will be better. You know, I think that constant mindset of getting better and being okay with everything not being perfect, that's what makes competitors really good. You know, not being satisfied and continuing to work. It's cliche, but hard work really gets you far. So yeah.
I asked for some questions online. I picked like 2 questions. One of them was, does being an athlete as a lady affect your femininity?
We could also have a podcast about what it means to be feminine.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, people associate femininity with like being bashful and being like, wow, what's the word? Like mellow. That's not the word I'm thinking of, but not being super emboldened and outspoken, right? And so if that's your definition of femininity, sports are contradictory to that, because sports, you're yelling, you're competing, you're being physical, you're not fighting, but like, you know, pushing. So if that's your definition, then of course it's like the antithesis.
Okay.
But in reality, if I think of what femininity should be, I think of women who are confident in who they are. I think of women, even if you think in the traditional sense, like there's beauty in being strong and being physically strong. And yeah, I just think femininity can look very different than what people might think it might look like. And I think the confidence of a woman is like a really beautiful and powerful thing. And understanding that, I think more women should play sports, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my answer. That's my answer.
Okay. Another question was, what's the hardest part of the pay gap?
The hardest part, I think, is sometimes it feels like you could be working really hard and not getting rewarded. I mean, I think now, and as someone who's played overseas and been compensated really well for how I play, that's a nice feeling. But I think, I mean, comparison is the thief of joy. But if I look at some guys and how much they make, I'm like, I don't know, is he really working that much harder than me that he can make 100 times more than me? So I think that can be hard.
I think, yeah. I mean, it's not about comparison. It's basically it's just a reality. Like for example, you can have a passion for something, but like I said earlier, if the money is not there to back up your passion, that passion is at some point is going to be like, you know what?
It feels
maybe I might
tiring.
Just have to, like,
it's exhausting.
jump ship, and do something else.
And so when you see what the guys make, it's like, man, like I know how hard I work, and it feels like another person doesn't think it's my hard work is worth as much as his. You know, I think that can be difficult.
Which you think is more important? Because we've spoken about hard work, right? So, hard work or talent?
I mean, you've heard the expression, hard work beats talent unless talent. That one. Hard work. I think hard work, yes. Talent, yes. And luck. I mean, if you're 5'1", I'm sorry, you're not playing in the NBA, right? There's an element. You can work. You could be the hardest working 5'1" guy. 1B is 7'6". Like there's some luck and some blessing that came with being a basketball player. So yes, you need to work hard, but there's an element of talent. There's an element of like natural skill, an element of natural athleticism that allows people to be successful. So yes, you have to work hard, but you need some luck, you need some talent, you need a little bit of natural ability to help you. But you can't have one without the other.
Okay, so I'm going to close up with this question, and basically you're going to fill in the gaps.
Okay.
So it's basketball is good when, risky when, and unacceptable when.
Basketball is good when you win.
Okay.
It's risky when you don't trust yourself.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, just bad things can happen if you don't trust your abilities.
Okay.
And what was the last one?
Unacceptable.
Oh, it's unacceptable when you don't respect the game. And by that I mean when you don't respect your opponents, when you don't respect your coaches, when you don't respect your teammates. I think that is unacceptable when you play sports, because all of us are here for something, all of us are competing for something, and you have to respect that part of playing sports.
Yeah, I think when you say that, because I remember I follow basketball, but also we follow football as well. I know sometimes when a good team somehow loses to a lesser team, and then at the press conference, that players from the other team be like, yeah, they didn't win because we just played badly. And also it happens in tennis as well. I remember, like last year, when Sabalenka lost to Lugia Coco, and then she came off as being like it was speaking less of Coco. There's a respect piece that I think is unacceptable, because at the end of the day, especially at this level, like you're a pro for a reason. So on the podcast, right? I have this tradition that the guest is going to leave a question for the next guest. The last guest left a question, so I'm going to ask you that question as well, right? So, if you could name one person that has had the highest impact to humanity, right?
To humanity?
Yeah, to humanity,
I thought you were going to say to basketball.
No.
Okay, to humanity.
One person that has had the highest impact to humanity, right? Who would that be? Name one person.
Humanity has been in existence for how many millions of years? Okay. Whoa. I'm really like going back in time.
Oh wow!
I'm thinking like I'm literally going like Jesus Christ, Muhammad, like.
I mean,
like those are literally the first people that come to my mind, because those are the two most common religions in the world, no? Or Hinduism maybe. Okay. But like
let's not think of, let's go.
Like you say humanity, I'm thinking
let me give you an example. Like the last guest I had, she said it was Kemal Atatürk for her, like the founder of Turkey.
Of course.
That was it for her. So Yeah. So, so I'm just saying you don't have to think that far. You can just give me
I'm like,
context.
go on.
I'll give you context.
I'm like Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar.
Okay. Ooh. I mean, I feel like I'm thinking like civil rights, like Martin Luther King, like these types of people, like Gandhi.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just gonna say MLK. I'm gonna say Martin Luther King
Martin
Jr.
Luther King. Okay.
Because I'm American. I'm truly an African American, like African descendant living in America. And I think what he did and tried to do as far as creating a society where everyone had the opportunity to live their life freely, like America always talks about freedom, but truly freely, free of discrimination, like that is very impactful. And I think even if I mean, it wasn't perfect, but the elements that he led and the movements that he led and inspired are still what inspire people today. So that's my answer. Yeah.
So Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you're going to have a little question for the next guest.
Yeah. It's not gonna be like that.
Okay.
I was actually going back and forth between two questions.
Okay.
So the first one was, what's the best gift that you ever received?
Okay.
And the second one, I know it's like really random, but it's like how it makes you feel.
Okay.
And then the second one is, if money was not an object and you could have any job in the world, I truly mean any job, what would it be?
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so that's one.
I'll probably just ask them both.
Yeah.
Ask them both questions and see what they come up with.
Because I tried to think of questions that it would take me some time to think about and answer. So yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Elizabeth Williams, for coming on the podcast.
Thanks
I really
for having me.
appreciate having this conversation with you and for sharing your insight. And I hope you have like a next project you're working on in terms of health, global health.
Not so much global health. I worked on a website for my master's, so I could probably still finish that. But yeah, right now the focus has just been the CBA and making sure we can come to an agreement for the next contracts. So.
Oh, okay. And I guess people can just follow you on your Instagram as well.
Yeah, Instagram. I haven't really been on Twitter. It's been good for my health, I think. But my Instagram is E_Williams_1.
Oh, okay. And please don't tag her with negative comments.
You can try. Like I said, you got to follow me first. So.
All right. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it.